we revamped the organization, NITB, from scratch. We wrote the complete ordinance of NITB from scratch, to the extent that we wanted NITB to be the executing arm of the technology rollout of the federal government, at the federal government level. And then we have also devised the strategy of NITB as an execution arm of technology to enter into a public-private partnership as well. We don't want to create an army of development, of developers and designers around technology. We want to partner with the private sector to come in and chip their skill set into all those critical projects that we want to roll out in the next 3 to 5 years down the road. E-commerce policy, as our speakers have actually mentioned, that there has been a lot of thought process gone into development. We have spent lots and lots of time there. And then, the last mile solution where we would be dispatching our goods, across the borders as well. So been working there as well. So I think there are a lot of things which I would like to share with you guys, shortly in a presentation. But just to give you a little bit heads up on this one, that without the support of private sector, I think implementation of e-commerce policy is going to be very, very hard for Pakistan. We can do as much to create a brand of Pakistan's e-commerce export platform. But then whether we're going to make this brand successful and how, that's where the private sector will.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. All the various stakeholders, ladies and gentlemen, Assalamu alaikum. We have gathered here today on e-commerce policy. I just want to say that I won't give a lot of figures. I want to look at the basic spirit under which what we're trying to do. The e-commerce policy came out, as was just mentioned, with the stakeholders fully participating. We went, and I must say that in that participation, Aisha and Javed played a very big hand, much, much more than I did. And then we went to the cabinet, and they presented several pages, and the cabinet discussed this aspect, this aspect, one aspect. And finally, the Prime Minister said, I've heard you all, let's go forward with it. It's an evolving thing. Let's start and moving in this direction. So the e-commerce policy was approved, and a committee was formed, and the e-commerce policy gave me that responsibility of as the chairman of that committee. Ever since we've started meeting, and we've had 3 meetings up to now, I can't express the amount of enthusiasm that this is being generated. This is not a textile policy. This is not a rice policy. This is a policy which is going to transform our country and particularly give the benefits to the youth on one of the meetings, I think the average age of people in that room, of the people that came to the Ministry of Commerce, could not have been more than 30, 32. Absolutely young people bubbling with enthusiasm. Karo hamare liye, jaldi karo, hum log to taiyar hai. And we want to remove all these the various hurdles that we have and the various stoppers, and so that's what we're working on. Now, Sabat is involved, and he's going to show you his presentation of what is the framework that he wants to build, and we have quite honestly left it to the National IT Board, that they will work in closely with Pasha, with USAID, and get this whole thing moving forward. What is another big change that I see coming? And that is, we all say that hum logon ne on this ranking we're very poor, on this ranking we're not so good. But please, all of you, and particularly the youth of our country, don't worry about those rankings. I know that once we get our act together, we move in a very aggressive way. And we're looking to you people to help and get rid of those stoppers, capitalize on the enablers, and really catch up on where we are. We've lost ground, doesn't matter. These things always happen, but it's the enthusiasm now onward that we will be able to, inshallah, capture the lost ground. The other very good thing about this is that as we go for digitalization, as we move into this sector, there are many ills in our country that we will be able to get rid of. The moment we start minimizing the interaction between people, everything works online, then corruption goes down, inefficiencies go down, and we will be able to move in a much, much faster way. And that is another tremendous benefit. Another benefit that I do like about this thing is for e-commerce, domestic and overseas. Those people, those businesses who have invested in their brands will obviously get a better advantage. So, one of the things I do feel is that the number of brands, acceptable brands in our economy, and a number of acceptable brands that are there internationally are too few. And e-commerce, inshallah, I hope will be able to help this and bring in this concept that you have to invest in your brand. You've got to back your brand. You've got to support the quality aspects of the brand. So I think this will be a very, very good enabler. Now, we've talked about how many people are there, 76 million people who are using it. We're doing two besides the bandwidth. We are now bringing out, we've reduced the costs on telephones. We're now giving an incentive to manufacture 4G, 5G telephones in Pakistan. That's going to be coming out pretty soon, just to get this thing moving. I hope that there is a positive enthusiasm and it keeps going. I know that in Pakistan to implement something takes a little longer, takes time, but I can categorically assure you that in this field it will be done. We're not FBR, we're not a provincial department. We are going to be working as dynamically as we can to move and get this thing going. The number of people that are sending communications to us is literally unbelievable. People would taras rahe that let's hurry up and get it done. I have another interest. Is obviously one of my main item on my agenda is how do we get our exports moving. And I was very sad to find out a few months ago that we have a different set of documents that give us the export of products, and we have a different set of documents that give us the exports of services. And our total export of services is about 5 billion. So now the whole thing will merge, and obviously once it's under focus, things get done, and inshallah We are quite honestly looking for quantum jump in our service sector, and 5 billion is nowhere near enough. And this is the growth in our exports that we're seeing. And once we've been able to remove the hurdles on payments, inshallah, I'm quite hopeful that the dynamism that is there inside our universities, people who just recently graduated, they will be able to play a very major role in increasing our exports. To conclude, don't look back why things were not done. Look forward. We're going to do it. We have to do it. We must do it. And inshallah, we will do it, that we will be able to have a great, successful e-commerce policy for all of you to be an important factor in our economy. Thank you very much.